So while I was preparing my altar and, clearing my space out, because I'm going to be teaching and holding space later today, I started to get these messages about explaining the importance of having a connection to spirit and your ancestors and what it really looks like the type of impact that you can make. And there's a lot of people on social media who want to connect with their clairs, who want to connect with their lineage, but don't fully understand how much they can actually help the world if they allow these energies into them, right? Like, allow this flow of communication, being in that flow state, working with your ancestors, working with angels and deities and spirit, cosmos, God, whatever you believe in. And they immediately started showing me clips of history, right? And what stood out the most was a whole video, basically, or a vision about Harriet Tubman. And people forget about Harriet Tubman. And when we do think of Harriet Tubman, we think of liberation, we think of freedom, we think of the work that they did, but we forget that Harriet Tubman's story was also about their connection to God, their connection to spirit. They were able to connect in such a way that they were receiving guidance on things that they probably shouldn't have known. They knew the land because of their intuition. They knew how to get to people. They were able to create different ideas and strategies and like a literal map to freedom, right? With other people along the way to help. And things like that happen when you are fully in alignment. And it was a part of their destiny, right? To be able to change history forever. And so I share this because they were saying that people need to understand that when you're developing your clairs, when you're opening your gifts, when you're using your intuition, it's so much bigger than you think. It's not just so you can learn to astral travel or so you can write that book. Like, it's so that you can actually help people, physically help people. You might be the next person who is so connected to spirit that you figure out how to fully cure cancer. You figure out how to end war. You figure out how to make universal healthcare. Like, there's so many things that could come of you developing your clairs and being connected to other energies and being open to creation in general that can change the world. And they also started showing me, which they wanted me to explain, of how often the ancestors can actually step in and help you with your financial needs alongside spirit, alongside your deity work, alongside whatever and like altar practices that you have or prayers that you have. And as I was preparing my altar and putting things there and saying thank you, there's been so many times in my life when I was literally financially pressed up against a wall. And I have one ancestor in particular who was just always lucky. They spent most of their life winning money at casinos and then using that to take care of themselves and take care of other people. And they just were really lucky, and they would play the lotto all the time. And they, like my ancestors have always said, and your ancestors will do the same thing when you start to connect with them, is you can call on them for help. Like, they are your family, even if you cannot see them, even if you can't always sense them. They are there. They want you to ask them for help. They're trying to get through to you more times than not. And a lot of people are afraid of asking for help. But that's just colonialism, right? The ancestors are there ready to help you. And there was one time I really needed money for this bill, and I just didn't have it when I was traveling. And it was something that was really important that I couldn't afford to have, the service turned off. It was a part of my livelihood. And I had asked this one particular ancestor to help me, like, please help me. And I don't always ask for help. You know, I was one of those people that I just didn't do it because I had a roof over my head. I was eating, you know, I'm very much so a basic needs type of person. And I was more focused on helping the people on the street, right, who were battling fentanyl and like not having a house and many other things. And so I had asked for help, and I remember standing on the sidewalk because I had to take an Uber to get to a different destination. There wasn't a bus nearby. There was like all these things, right? And I said my prayer. I got into the Uber, and then the Uber driver just started talking about how I should go visit this casino that we were going to drive by. And I was like, that's very specific. Sounds like something my grandma would say. And, you know, I asked, can you actually take me straight to the casino rather than where I needed to go? And they said, yeah, sure. So they dropped me off, wished me good luck. And I was worried about going inside because I was wearing my traditional, my ori on my face, like my paint, my African paint. And I asked my ancestors for help and protection, and I was in a really conservative state. And I immediately walk in there, and this black femme comes up and asked me how I was doing, asked me what I needed, asked me if I needed help. And I let them know, you know, basically what my grandma was telling me at the same time, like, I just need to find the slot machines. And they said, of course, I'll actually escort you straight there, because sometimes these people can be a little funny with like things that you wear and whatnot. And I just said thank you to my grandma inside, but they had sent this person to me. And so they led me straight to the slot machines. And they wished me good luck. And I just said to my grandma, which one? Just tell me which one. And she told me which one to go to. I go over, I pull out like the only $10 bill that I had during that moment, like the cash that I had. And I put it into the machine, and I pressed it once, nothing. I pressed it again, nothing. And then I hear my grandma laughing, because I had been to casinos with her before. And, you know, she would always make fun of me and my other family members for being too cheap, because she was always in the high roller room basically. And she said, bet higher and bet it all. And I was like, okay. And so I just followed her guidance, clicked the button, and I got more than enough money to pay my bill. And that was what was most important. I said I only needed help to pay this bill. I don't need anything else. Like, I'm going to be fine. It's just this bill. And so I got that money, pulled it out, cashed it in, and left, and was also able to like pay for a couple of other things. And, you know, I was so grateful in that moment, because like, it would have been a very different type of situation. And I don't recommend just working with your ancestors just so you can make money, but your ancestors are going to be there in more ways than you can ever imagine. And they're always going to be there to love you, and you're always going to be there to protect you. And it was just this huge sign of like, you're never going through this journey by yourself. And even when you think you don't have what you need, you always have what you need. And your clairs and your development are going to help you feel that way through and through. And that money allowed me to do something else for my business, that allowed me to go talk, that allowed me to go put my books in other stores in Charlotte, that it allowed me to do all these different things and continue to travel on my path and still be able to teach now and teach later today like I'm doing. So I just wanted to share that with you, because it was a really beautiful message that was coming through around clairs being so much bigger than you think, and how your connection could literally be the next thing to save people in this world. And so treat them with respect, express gratitude, and if you're wanting to learn more about them, join us later today. Today's Thursday. It's also Portal Day, and I'm going to be teaching about clairs. I'm going to be asking or answering as many questions as you have, and we're going to be there for a little over an hour, and it's going to be a really fun time. So I'm sending you all lots of love, lots of hugs, express gratitude, say thank you for everything that you have, and hopefully I will see you all later today.